Welcome to My Long Island TV. From Manhasset to Montauk, we have traveled our communities to bring you the following events. I'm your host, Waldo Cabrera. My Long Island TV starts now.
The importance of being a mentor to our kids is a real connection with the next generation and to see if we can develop the future leaders and have them understand how it is to be one of the future leaders. And so mentoring is extraordinarily important to the well-being of our nation.
My friend Bill Russell for many years have supported the mentor program, and he's a wise man. And all of the athletes that are here today are here because of the value of taking care of our children. And so we all have rallied to support this mentor program because there's nothing that is more directly effective with young people. It is a fantastically thought out program.
Well, about 22 years ago, President Bush made his famous Points of Light speech, and a number of business people, including myself, were brought down to Washington to discuss how we could be helpful to helping the inner city crisis that was taking place. And what we decided was to focus on the kids, because as we did our homework, we found that there were between 18 and 20 million kids that were fundamentally disconnected from society. Those kids were not going to be passing on to the next generation the essence of what America is all about. And we felt that as business leaders, we should focus on doing something about that and therefore develop the business model of Mentor.
The challenge today is that there's a lot of programs out there. There might be 10,000 programs out there. And as they all jockey for position and try to learn what they can do, we try to help them understand what mentoring can do, where its best bets are, which kids are going to benefit most from mentoring, what are the elements that go into an effective mentoring program. So we provide them with all the tools that they can be great. It looks like if you make it to 12 months at an hour a week, it's going to be more successful than those that don't. But a lot of programs that operate on a school year are only about 9 months, and a lot of those can be effective as well. I'd say for those that want to become a mentor, I'd really look at myself and try to understand my motivation and try to understand if you're able to put in the time and energy. Because the reality is, a lot of these kids have had challenges, right? And they've had adults in their lives that perhaps haven't been there when they needed them. The last thing they need is one more adult to make a commitment and then one day just not be there. So there is a downside, so to speak, is that kids can come out of it being hurt. So we always say, look inside, understand why you want to do this, and if you're willing to make the commitment, we're there to help you do so.
Unfortunately, some kids don't have the right type of mentors around them, and they are searching for those to fill that void. So whenever you have players like Bill Russell coming in and saying some of the things that he says to these young boys and girls, it does wonders for them. An old saying is shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll still be amongst the stars. I take that to heart sincerely because, you know, you hate to look back in life and say, I wish I would have tried this, or I wish I would have tried that. It's about going after your heart's desires, and if you don't make it, so be it. You can hold your head up high and at least know that you gave it your all and tried, and that's what's so important today.
When you can change a kid's life, I think that means more to me than anything, because I know when I was growing up, I grew up in very difficult circumstances, always looking for someone to encourage me, or more importantly, pay an interest in me, or take an interest in me. And I've had a couple of those people in my life, and they've made an immeasurable difference in how I was able to have a career and have a life after a career. So my life has been enriched by people who have supported me.
We at Ernst & Young think mentoring is so important. We have thousands of people who are out working in middle schools, working in high schools, helping to demystify how to get into college, helping to understand how important it is to finish their high school education and to consider higher ed, helping them to understand the financial aid process, application process, and then once they're in school, to follow them and help them.
You know, it's interesting when you're young, you think you know everything, you don't really know anything. And I've been very fortunate. Guys who, Mosey Malone, Dr. J, Mr. Russell, some grandfathers, some teachers, some people who really could always pick their brains. One of the problems in the black community is too many kids think they're going to play sports. They got no chance of playing in the professional sports. They've got to get to education to be successful. And you know what, I always tell people, there are a lot of, kids are a product of their family life, environment and things like that. But so many of these kids think they're going to play pro sports, and they got no chance of playing pro sports. That's why I really stress education to them. That'll dictate their future.
Well, I was speaking at a school in Fort Worth, Texas, and the Vietnam War was just winding down, and I said that we should divert those funds to redoing the educational system. And after the speech, a gentleman came up and said, he was about 65, he says, what you talk about is going to cost a lot of money, and that means I have to pay more taxes. Now, why should I pay taxes to educate other people's kids? And I said, for two reasons. One, when you were 6 years old and your family bundled you up and sent you off to school, there was a school for you to go to, and your folks did not build it. And second, there are no other people's children in the United States of America. That's the next generation of Americans. And we better hope that we can do a good enough job so that they can keep us in competition with the rest of the world.